Welcome back to Bass Fishing Dive Bar. I'm Adam Hinkle. Kurt Demerath here. How you
How's it
been?
going? Been finally
We
getting
haven't
to
talked a
fish.
lot in the last couple of weeks.
I know. You've been a bum.
You been a bum?
Yeah, you've been a bum.
Yeah. I haven't been a bum. I've been busy, dude. Baseball is nonstop.
Yeah. I've been busy
Baseball is
too, but
nonstop. Everything's nonstop.
the flooding all got cleared up and taken care of, so that's crazy how fast it got bad, got dealt with, gone, like almost for a lot of people it's like it never happened. And I know there's people still dealing with stuff and it's still bad. There's some businesses that
Well,
a lot of
explain
damage.
what happened.
Well, we had record, like all-time record high amount of rainfall in the month of April by like the 15th April. And then the Wolf River watershed and a lot of the Fox River watershed just, it just up out of the banks. We broke records for water height. It was pretty crazy. And a lot of the towns that are on the Wolf River, they deal with seasonal flooding every third, fourth year. The water comes up through the storm sewers and, fills the streets, but that's usually about it. Some people deal with some basement flooding. This year it actually went up over the banks and then by feet. And like Shacklton, Wisconsin is my hometown, little town. The whole thing was flooded, shut down for a week. New London, half their town is high, but the other half's low, and that was bad. I mean, like the local tackle shop we have here, Johnny's Little Shop of Bait, it was flooded, feet of water in there. They're working on cleaning that up right now. Still to the now, they're still working on that. Just getting in there to starting to paint and stuff today. I saw on Facebook, but yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. People that got their little cottages and stuff on the river where, if you live in this, certain parts of the country, you guys have seen the river shacks that are up basically on stilts. Guys that have their shacks built real high, we don't have stuff on stilts, but stuff that's normally like 4 feet out of the water that, oh, no, they had water in their shack. We broke the all-time record in Shacklton in I think it was 1926 or 1928. We beat that record by almost a foot and a half, which you've been here. That river's that high. It's just thousands of acres for every foot that get flooded. And like that water has a lot of distance to go horizontal to go up a foot. And that's just what's so crazy about it. I haven't been on the river fishing yet. Yeah, I haven't been on the river fishing yet, so I don't know what the river looks, because I'm sure the river's changed a lot. But like when you were here, you fished the river. What's that?
There's probably no wood left.
Oh, I guarantee you there's wood. I bet you there's more wood. No, I bet you there's more.
Oh, yeah, I probably washed a whole bunch in. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. So, like the parking lot that we parked at when you were here and we fished on the river, and we had to back down our concrete ramp, however far it is. We were there in the summer. I mean, the water would have been inside my truck doors. That's how high it was. So, I mean,
that's probably
talking about 10 feet difference in water height.
Yeah, I was going to say more than 10, but yeah, That's crazy.
Which I know the Mississippi River, like a lot of those guys and everything, they're used to that stuff. I've got family that's in Southern Illinois on the Mississippi River. And, I was down there for the 93 flood. Most people probably don't even think about that or remember that. But, I mean, whole towns got taken off the map, and that happened down there. So all in all, it's just a big mess. I mean, ultimately, it's just a big mess. But it went down quick, thankfully. We Mother Nature was kind, and what rain we were forecasted to get after we were already, please don't rain more. It all stayed pretty south of us and didn't really affect us at all. So we got really lucky there. But it's. I haven't heard of anything too dramatic as far as people. It's just a lot of what do I do if my garage got flooded and they had their garage, their detached garage full of possessions. Nothing. Nobody passed. No one. There was none of that type of stuff. But so hopefully
that's good.
Yeah, and now it's like we got rain yesterday, almost all day. And that's the first time it's rained since that flood. And that's just the ugly cycle we've been in lately. The last handful of years, we get lots of rain when we get rain, and we get no rain when we don't get rain.
Yeah, we don't get any rain at all.
Yeah.
Well, last problem.
So crazy fact here. Last summer, the water got lower than I've ever seen it. By a lot. Like it almost can't get any lower on the river. Like if it gets lower than that, it just stops flowing. That's how low it was.
Wow.
9 months later, we have record flooding. So you just think like, holy cow, how much water table what it absorbs and all that. That just tells you how much moisture we got. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But so now I've been finally getting able to get out and do a little fishing. Been on the water 3 times this year. I've had phenomenal days. Probably any one of the last 3 days I've been on the water has been probably you pick either one. It's the best day I've had on the water in the last 10 years. So to have that, I mean, I'm pretty gung-ho about fishing season. When you started it off so good. Unfortunately, I think I got nothing.
Good way to kick it off.
Yeah, got nowhere to go but down. But
right.
No, I mean I think it's helped. The temperatures haven't warmed up too fast. The full moon sort of fell early and late this year in May, so that's not driving the smallmouth to come up when it's colder than it should be. But I've had 2 really good days of largemouth fishing and 2 really good days of smallmouth fishing. One day we did both, 2 different lakes in one day, and it was. When you start catching enough fish that are in the 3 to 4 class range, that you just grab it, unhook it, and throw it back, and don't even think twice about it in Wisconsin. I mean, that's some special fishing.
Yeah. Well, I noticed you're wearing your hat.
Yeah, it's my lucky fishing hat. It's like my lucky fishing hat.
You're welcome.
I'm glad I designed it.
That's funny.
It ain't any good for me for shooting trap though. Been telling everybody. I said I'm just gonna keep shooting trap bad because it seems like if I shoot poor at trap, I go fishing and shoot and fish well. So if I had to pick one to suffer at, well, I'll suffer at trap for a while. I can shoot trap good during the winter when I'm not fishing.
You've been bitching about trap lately anyway.
Oh, well, and that's sort of done too. That's just a lot of stuff there with the new machines and all that stuff at the conservation club. It's just a lot of work, a lot of help, a lot of work.
Yeah.
Got a lot of shooters. They find out you're doing something different. You gotta listen to everybody's opinion. Listen to all the feedback. Guys want to see this change and that. They might not say anything for 5 years, but as soon as you start talking about someone else taking over or somebody else doing something or potentially changing something, then obviously and rightfully so, that's the right time to speak up, right? If people are doing stuff, people are doing stuff to change things, that's when we need them to speak up. So,
of course.
Yeah.
Well, today's episode planned on doing something on what's in our boats.
Yeah. And then exciting. The most exciting of what's in our boats is what this one's going to be about. The most exciting topic of what's in our boats. We're starting it off strong with the, inquiring minds want to know this topic. So I'll let you tell them what it is.
And it's not the baits. We're not talking about baits. We're not going to go there.
I'll talk about baits, but you didn't want to today.
Well, we're gonna go with the stuff that really matters. I think it was 2 episodes ago we talked about, what do we have in our boats in case of emergency, or just planning a long trip too, and not necessarily planning a long trip, but what should you have in your boat on a daily basis. I have some stuff here that if I'm planning a long trip, I've got that in the boat, or I at least have it in the truck, in a bin available to me. But a lot of it's going to be everyday stuff. Some of it's going to be stuff if you're going to be gone for a week or whatever, bring it along. I've got 3 pages worth of notes here. We both have some stuff to hold up to the camera and show you exactly what we're talking about. But where do we want to start? Why is it important?
I'll start. Yeah. Why is it important? Having been on the water, but I think now, especially with how much rely on electronics, nothing will ruin your day worse than a dead battery, a blown fuse, anything. And I've had the first thing I want to show, and I'm really curious what you think of this. I think we may have talked about this before, but things. I do all my own rigging. I know my boat inside and out. So, and I know you're very familiar with your boat. And every once in a while you get stuck.
More than I'd like to admit.
Yeah. Why does something not work?
Yep.
So with the lithium batteries, there's some different scenarios that can happen. I'm not going to go into all of them. I don't even understand all of them. So that's why I'm not going to go into them, because I don't want to put out any wrong information. But I did not have the knowledge or foresight to understand, along with letting my fishing partner for the day turn my batteries on versus how I would normally do it. With my Ranger, you have that on, jump, whatever switch in it. And it's a battery 1, battery 2, or battery both switch is what it is. But they got it labeled different so that you could jump start your cranking battery if something would happen. Well, if you do that and then try to start your motor while it's turned to that switch with tracker lithium rely-on trolling motor batteries trying to fire off your Merc, you reverse the polarity. I don't know if you've ever heard of anybody reversing the polarity on a lithium battery, but it can happen. I can tell you I've had it happen. And you have to know how to reset it, is another big thing. But what I can tell you is I learned from this experience after it was one of my first trips on the water with this boat. What's going on? I have no trolling motor power. Everything else works. No trolling motor power. I am confused. Absolutely confused. So come to find out, I get all the way home. What I needed was a battery meter. So little battery meter. I don't know if you carry one. I find this also handy for other reasons. Other reasons. I have reasons why I like to bring this. If I'm having graph troubles, I can test my voltage at the graph, right at the bus bar, all that fun stuff. This is cheap off Amazon. You don't need a fancy one. I mean, when I'm doing boat rigging and stuff, I have a Fluke. It's, a good one. But this one does the trick for what we're doing. This is good to know in that circumstance, if that would happen, or if you're having graph issues or why something not working. The first thing you want to do to troubleshoot electronics is make sure where your graph gets power, both the battery and at the bus bar, that you're getting the proper voltage. And the only way to do that is with the meter. So that's one thing I know many people don't carry, but I do.
I'll piggyback on the lithium deal. It's not the reason why, it's not the sole reason I put this on the list, but it is a huge reason. If you know anything about lithium batteries, once they get below 10%, they will go to sleep.
Yep.
And you have to wake them up, and you cannot wake them up with a regular lithium charger.
Right.
You have to force wake them up. And that's why I've got a regular battery charger that does lead acid, AGM, and you can force wake up a battery with that. And I bring that along with me for the truck as well on a long trip. I always have it in the truck.
Mhm.
But if it goes to sleep, you can force wake it up with that and get back going. And I've found that out the hard way a couple times about those things falling asleep. You know, leave one of my on-off switches on, and you know your Mega Live transducer is powered up and it's draining battery. And if you let the boat sit for a week and a half, 2 weeks, you come out, thing's dead. Dead. So
On a little
that's
side
number one
note,
off
in
my list.
regards,
That and jumper cables if you don't have lithium.
well, so do you know how to readjust your polarity? If you, like in my
I don't.
state, you take a good battery, positive to negative, and then positive to negative to the one that you reverse the polarity on, and that's what resets it. At least on
Okay.
mine. That's on my. I run all Relions, so
You just got to
And
touch
that's
them then.
which is so silly. So that day that happened, all I would have had to do is turn my switch to the both instead of the jump start. If I would have switched it to both or jump, what it was on, what caused the problem. If I would have just turned it to the other one, it would have reset it and I'd have been good to go. I had my boat completely tore apart that day, trying to figure out, because I'm like, it's that time of year where it's like, I know I'm going to catch them. And it's like, I don't have a trolling motor. I would have kept fishing without graphs or a million other things I'd have been fine with. Like, all I needed was a flipping stick and a trolling motor that day. And no trolling motor. So, and that day also taught me a lot of other things. So Ranger, a lot of their bow panel stuff is Torx.
Yeah.
So I carry Torx. Now, because I tore apart and checked my trolling motor connection up in the bow, this is why I bought this. Because there's a lot of screws on our graph mounts and stuff, you know, like I'm lucky, you know, I called Van up at Bass Boat Technologies last year, and I just called him to ask him, I'm like, hey, I get in Explorers, I need new gimbals, you know. He's like, hey, we got this new graph mount that actually has a hinge on it. So I can take out 4 Allen screws and the whole bow hinge is open. That whole bow graph, it just on a hinge, right open. 4 screws, 4 hex head screws. That reminds me, there is something I don't have in here that I have set on my counter that I need to put in the boat. But what this is, it's made by Skill. It is a USB rechargeable. The battery's all internal. Driver. So you literally go, you turn, yeah.
Got mine.
Go one way. It's all quick. What was this? Amazon, like $35?
I think it was less than that.
I charged this once, like 3 years ago. I'm good about having tools, but if it's battery, I'm the guy that's bad about, you know, making sure they work. But it still works as a regular screwdriver, but it also comes with all those bits, you know, so it's easy to contain. I keep it in a waterproof box. Like I said, this has been in my boat for, well, since the first year I bought it. So it's 01 or 21. So, that has saved me multiple times. Just blow a fuse on my 360, blow a fuse on our graph. You know, I'm using the last 2 things. I'm testing my battery. I know it's good. You know, the fuses aren't the easiest thing to always pull out of. Like, all my stuff's on a fuse bus bar. I don't have inlines. So with that battery tester, I can just hit the 2 little silver dots on top of the fuse and tell you if there's, you know, if I'm reading power. You know, I don't have to pull it out, and you can tell right away. I know you're going to talk about, you know, fuse kits in the boat. I run pretty big fuse bus bars and only use half of them, so I actually keep spares in the slots that I'm not using.
Got it. That's smart.
This is another thing. I didn't haul.
I carry the whole thing.
Carry that whole thing. See, and I'll just throw in my box the right fuses, the 2.5 or 2 amp, 4 amp, 5 amp. Most things, if you just shove a 5 amp in it temporarily, it'll work fine.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, now I didn't bring the part that goes with this, but a spare prop with hub and then the breaker bar and a 2x4.
Yeah.
I wedged the 2x4 between the prop and the cavitation plate, and you can get that off. Yep, right there. Yep. I keep it in the
2x6. Cut it down to like 10 inches, and it fits back in the bilge.
Yeah. I keep the stuff in my truck because I don't carry a spare prop.
Got it. I do.
Might be different with you because where you're fishing, you might be running a lot further than I'm going to run. If I was going somewhere where I knew I was going to make long runs and could possibly be stranded somewhere up a lake or something, then I would. But here I'm either getting downriver to another boat landing or I can troll a motor across the lake in an hour.
Yeah.
So the next thing, and I don't know how many places around the country need this, but we do here on most of our bodies of water. This is emergency marine kit. What is in here is flares, signals. This is all this one orange pouch contains everything that I need to be U.S. Coast Guard appropriate for signaling. There's the pistol with the shotgun shell looking flares and all that. That's what's in here.
Does it come with the flares?
Yep. The flares, I have both in there because I kept the whistle out of my old kit. I have both in there. The flares, keep in mind, I think it's 3 years. Every year I open it up. I got one more year on these. But you got to replace them every so often. I'm not opening them. So, speaking of them Torx, it's a cluster, Allen wrench type cluster. I've had really good luck with these Gorilla Grip from Bondus. Same stuff I use working in archery. I got Torx, standard, and metric. The big ones. Because otherwise, a lot of times you don't have the size you need.
So I'm gonna touch on the Torx really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
With the Torx, I was caught in a situation where we were borrowing a friend of mine's boat. It was a Ranger years ago, and we blew a tire. To get that spare tire off of the trailer and put it on, you had to have a Torx bit, and we didn't have a Torx bit on us. So look to see whatever your situation is for that spare tire. It may not be a Torx. It may be an Allen. It like mine, I can't get a what the heck do you call it? I can't get a regular. Dang it! I am totally drawing a blank right now.
You need
lug
a
nut wrench. The big star lug nut wrench. I can't fit that in where my spare tire is at, so I have to have a ratchet. So I've got that fitting. I've got that socket that I can get in there with a 1/2-inch ratchet and break that free. Yeah. So look at your spare tire and make sure you have what you need in the boat to get that out.
I have a couple miscellaneous that I didn't bring in that are just little bit kits that goes with the next thing I'm going to show you after I'm done with this box. And they just go where I can fit them in the boat, or they're always in the truck. I carry a toolbox in my truck all the time. That's pretty robust. But I end up having to work on other things, like if I'm going out to the Cons Club, got to work in the trap machines or whatever. I need all my tools. So, Leatherman, you never know. This is a Leatherman Wingman. You never know.
That's one thing that I don't have that I should.
I try to carry pocket knife on me all the time. A lot of times I don't. Sometimes you just need a knife.
In fact, I'm putting that down on my list.
This is the old Allen wrench cluster I used to keep with me. I'm a little sentimental, so I just always keep this one in this boat. It's my good luck charm. An all-in-one. This is like a 9-in-1 or 11-in-1 Lennox. They make two. This is the one that has the more features on it. You can pull it apart. It's one size driver there, one size there. It's I think it's 11 in one. Now that I think about it, I buy these at Home Depot. I have one in my every vehicle in my boat. 5 around the house. You need a screwdriver. It's the best one to have. It's going to do about everything you want. Standard pliers, 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch of just regular Stanley wrenches, a spare key. So if your brake system goes out, it's a spare key. I have one on my trailer, but this is a spare one. Crescent wrench, vice grip, side cutters, electrical tape. You can never have too much electrical tape. Buy the good 3M stuff, not the cheap stuff. Zip ties. You can save a strip screw with a zip tie. We all got strip screws in our bow panels and stuff. You thread the zip tie down in that hole, then run your screw in there, cut it off with the side cutters, and finish running it the rest of the way. No more strip screw.
So I'm going to one up you on zip ties. I carry all 3 sizes. I carry big zip ties. You can make trailer repairs with these. I mean, those things, I don't know what the weight limit is on those things, but it's unreal. And then I've got your mid-size, regular size zip tie. And then I've got small ones for tying, graph wires, together. If you ever got to get in, clip those things off, reorganize. I carry the small ones for that. That way it's not bulky.
Yeah.
Those big ones have really come in handy in the past, though. A friend of mine's, his license plate was coming off in the last Lake Mead Open that we were fishing, and I had 5 or 6 of those things, and it was actually his fender. It was a fender because his license plate was attached to the fender. He zip tied his fender back up, and it kept it in place on the way home.
That's interesting. I wonder how it works in some states. In Wisconsin, you don't have to title your boat trailer.
Got it.
So, like, none of us have license plates on our boat trailer because if you license it, then you got to pay for it. If you ain't got to pay for it, why do it?
It's another California thing. They want all the money they can get.
Well, like every other state, like I have to. If I plan I'm going to sell my boat, every time I plan I'm going to have to sell my boat, I have to register my trailer for that year. So that when I sell it, I can sign the trailer title over to the person buying it. Otherwise, it's a giant mess to sell it to somebody out of state. And that box is a Plano waterproof 3700 box. It's a big open cavity blue thing in it. I don't know if they make it still anymore, but it is. They're nicer waterproof ones. It works for me because where I store it, if it's the right size. Most of our boats are designed to take 3,700 boxes in some form, shape, or manner. So that's why I use that box. Otherwise, an MTM plastic waterproof ammo can or whatever fits your stuff in it. Then the old Stanley. Should I do the... This is just a socket set, nothing fancy. I have different bit attachments for this set in the boat, but I didn't grab them. Just standard 3/8 ounce or 3/8 inch. This is an actual trolling motor prop washer. I have a couple of these in here. I usually have extra nuts and extra keys in there as well. For the trolling motor, I run them in Coda, so it's always the same key, same nuts. Because you will inherently, if you take a prop off of a trolling motor, it's like a 70-30 chance you're going to drop that key.
You're going to drop it for sure.
Yeah. So the last two, not the last thing, second to last thing, this little box here, trying to get this where there's no glare on it. That is Paragon 250, I think it's called. Craft cleaners. It's got all 3 of them in there. It's got towels. I sort of have them color coded so I know which towel to use when. That's not the only graph cleaner kit I carry in the boat, but I always have one on the side that's bigger bottles and stuff because there ain't nothing bother you if you're in rough water and halfway through the day your stuff's all water spotted up. We see that on the Bay of Green Bay. If you're in rough water, you're taking all that spray, it's sunny out, there's just a lot of lime or calcium in that water. Halfway through the day, your screen is just not readable. That's one thing I will say, that I've got my one Solix still on the boat, and the other 3 are Explorers, and I can't believe the difference in my bow graphs being able to read that Explorer versus my Solix. And I know Garmin Lowrance's screens are a lot better than they used to too. But I can tell you, just for my own boat, like that Explorer screen is really nice for that.
See, I've got the graph class on my Solix, and that thing wipes so easy.
Oh yeah, I'm not, because somebody. I will tell you what I put on my graph screens. Someone will probably watch this, get all mad, tell me why it's a terrible idea. So I'm not saying for anybody to do it, but I put F11 on my graph screens, and most of the time I can just wipe them off I can sit there and go against them and wipe stuff right off. It does really help, but there's probably some reason why that's terrible for my screen and I shouldn't do it.
Probably.
And then the last one. This is not tools, but I'm going to tell you,
it's a tool.
It's necessary.
It's a cancer tool.
This is the save you from cancer box. There is SPF a lot in here, but I'm gonna take a little break here and grab something quick. It's taking me a little bit, but what's in here? I've got 100 Banana Boat 100.
You're not screwing around.
Not screwing around. Actually, zinc for your nose. My nose gets fried.
Patrick Walters.
Wow. Have you seen me? You fished with me. You know how I turned.
Have you seen the Patrick Walters pictures?
Yes. So then here's actually the lotion. So not just the spray. I also carry some sport. Just you want to, maybe you're fishing part of the day, but you want to get a little tan, so you don't have just your hands got some tan or whatever. Here's your. I still want to get a little tan. This for your lips. There we go. Get it out of the glare. For your lips, your ears, quick, so you're not getting it on your hands. This is just some soap, and this is so that I can wash my hands off. Normally, I have nitrile gloves in here. I just used them, so I got to put more back in here. But I put nitrile gloves on, so I do not have to worry about getting that sunscreen on my hands and then transferring to my baits and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. The soap's a good idea. That's not something that I have in the boat, and I can't stand sunscreen on my hands.
Some of this stuff is discontinued product, so I don't. But there's a lot of product out here. Obviously, just Simms Neck Gator. I got a couple of them in there because inherently your boat partner for the day isn't going to bring that stuff. If he's nice, he's trying to take as little stuff as possible. I've got a pile of these gloves, even sizes I don't wear. Just I know too many people. Yeah, the finger gloves, another Gator. Those are all of that is Simms Solar Flex stuff. I don't know if they still make that same. Can you hear me all right with my arm rubbing on the speaker?
Yeah. I gotta remember there's people that listen to this too, so we gotta describe it a little bit better since we're showing so much stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, essentially sunscreen, your choice. But I'm gonna go grab another one that I was turned on to last year. So just bear with me a minute.
Okay. Yeah, that's something that I am pretty bad at, is the whole sunscreen thing. I wear a light hoodie all the time on the water, but I don't wear a Neck Gator as much as I should. I'm really bad about sunscreen. I can't stand it. And, when I'm out when I'm fishing a US Open or a Lake Mead Open, I'm out in the desert in 100-degree heat. I'm actually really good about putting sunscreen on every single day. but I really can't stand it on my hand, and I really don't like the oily residue of the spray. So
What's
I just
that?
find myself not using it. I was just talking about how I don't use enough sunscreen. Can't
I don't
stand the
either.
residue of the spray. Can't
Yeah.
stand sunscreen on my hands. So I find myself locally not using it very much. But when I'm on a long trip, I'm pretty good about it, especially when I'm fishing the desert.
Yeah. Sunscreen spray is great in theory, but it gets all over everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that out actually right when we're done with the podcast here. I'm going to take what's in there out for spray. And it does not, it's just spraying it on you does not help. You need to rub it on.
Mhm.
It puts a nice even coat, but it just doesn't do its job if you don't rub it in. But last year, had an angler up here fishing with me, and he had this, which is Sunbum. And I don't know all the chemicals we're supposed to have or not supposed to have that make it just as bad or just as worse as whatever. But I will tell you that this is from the research I did. This is a pretty clean product it's a balance, you know. And they make this little stick. This looks like a little deodorant stick. It's Sunbum as well. This is only SPF 30, but this lotion is 70. And I used this all last summer. And what I've noticed that really helps me a lot, even though you want this in your boat because we're all there and it's like, oh man, I'm feeling burnt. It's too late. You're burnt.
For sure.
But you're going to save
When you
yourself
feel
getting
it,
more burnt. And if
Yeah.
it's windy, the other thing that this stuff does is it actually protects your skin from drying out really bad. So it does dual purpose. But I've just learned that if I really want my sunscreen to do a good job, I take a shower in the morning. That's my normal morning wake up routine is take a shower in the morning. When I get out of the shower, I put sunscreen on. I learned that when I was down in Alabama, and it's just like it makes such a much bigger difference for protecting you from the sun. If you don't do it right away in the morning before you start fishing, it seems like you're further gone than you think you are, and then you end up burnt. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dermatologist, so I'm just giving you my personal experience. Do what your dermatologist tells you to do.
I'm that guy that, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm starting to get fried, and I'm like, oh crap, should probably put some sunscreen on, but it's too late by that point.
Well, I completely forgot. It's funny that we talked about doing this because I completely forgot. I'm so used to having that Sunbum in my center console, and I'm like, oh man, I forgot my sunscreen. Completely forgetting I have this backup. But I got off the water about 2 hours earlier than I would have liked to because I just couldn't take it anymore. Between the wind and the sun, standing on the front deck of a boat, staring into the wind all day with a bright, sunny, not a cloud in the sky, I was just toast. I could feel it in my face. Like I would turn one way and the whole this side of my face would just be like, it just instantly start to burn. Like you imagine it sizzling. And it's like, oh man, I don't know, good, bad, or not. That's the thing. So that was Friday. My face hasn't peeled.
Yeah,
but that's just how I usually am. Some people are like that. There's a lot of stuff too with if we're going to go down that sunscreen road. There's a lot of stuff out there. Literature that you can read where people talk about professionals that know what they're talking about, hopefully, that our sunglasses, especially polarized sunglasses, we block all this UV light, and the UV light getting into our eye is what tells our body to create the chemical that basically causes us to tan, and that's what protects us from burning. That it's really important to let your eye get some natural light exposure as much as you can. And I know a handful of people that have started to do that, and they swear that it's really made a difference on them burning. And I would say I noticed it last year, but do the research on your own if you want. But I would recommend that if you can fish in the morning for as long as you can, or just mow the lawn, like whatever you can do outside without putting polarized sunglasses on, do it. It ain't gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
Within reason. But yeah, that's the backup stuff I keep in my boat that is not relative to fishing. That is to keep me on the water, fishing day after day, make sure in case something goes wrong or something's bad. You forget to pack sunscreen in your suitcase. Oh, I already got some in the boat. I'm good. As long as you remember it's there.
Yeah. So mine's pretty similar. I've got a few other things that I'm going to add to that. Mine is much more compact. I've just got a 40 cal metal ammo box that's waterproof.
Mm-hmm.
It takes up a lot less space. I don't have a whole lot of space of storage in my Champion, so I keep it behind the passenger seat. I got a 206. I've got that behind the passenger seat, along with all of my screen cleaning and boat cleaning. The vinyl cleaner with some microfiber towels. That all fits in the back there. And in that 40 cal ammo box, my ratchet and tool set is much more simple than yours, because I carry a single 1/4-inch ratchet with all of the sockets that fit everything in my boat. I don't carry a whole set. I've gone around and, okay, I need this size. I need this size. I've just got an extra one and throw it all in there in a little Ziploc bag. I've got both deep and shallows, because back on my batteries, I run a bar off of my batteries with there's 4 different spots coming off of my trolling motor battery. One of them's going straight to the front with 6-gauge wire to my bus bar up front, and I've got all the live well and battery charger that's all connected to different bars or different studs. So I need deep sockets to get on top of those. So I got deep and shallow on both of those. I've got extension, a 1/4-inch extension. I carry a Phillips screwdriver, flathead screwdriver. I carry the same lithium driver that you do, very similar at least. I got a small crescent wrench and a 12-inch crescent. Small crescent is to break anything that I can't with the ratchet. So you have the breaker bar for your prop. I've got a 1/2-inch ratchet, a long 1/2-inch ratchet, with that socket for the prop, just that single socket.
Yeah.
And I've got a hub, a spare hub.
Yeah, and a lot of guys just carry
inside of this, but
a lot of guys just carry a prop wrench,
a prop nut, or prop wrench. Yeah, the yellow. I can't stand that plastic one though. Yeah, I can never get a good enough bite.
Yeah, I feel like I've had too many times where I don't trust that I'm not going to snap it off. So,
yeah. In that ammo box, I've also got blue Loctite. When you're running through rough water, I spent in the cancellation day at the Lake Mead Open, the whole morning of that cancellation day, I went throughout the whole boat, and there were loose screws and nuts and bolts all over the place. So I went and Loctited stuff up to make sure that nothing came loose. So blue Loctite's on my list. Lug nut wrench for trailer and truck stuff. The Star lug nut wrench. That's in the truck. I don't keep that in the boat. And like I said, the socket for my spare. If you can't access your spare tire with a lug nut wrench, make sure you've got the socket that can fit it with a ratchet, in case you get a flat on the trailer. For trailer stuff as well, marine grease for your marine grease, and a Zerk gun for your jack plate, and for packing bearings if you lose a bearing. Let's see, I got a tire pressure gauge in the truck, Milwaukee compressor. If you got a slow leaky tire, you can fill it back up without having to take it to a gas station. Just a little 20-volt compressor. I I actually, so these last few things are for a long trip, going out on the road for a long trip and you're not close to home. There's no quick fixes on a long trip. So
Yeah.
I've actually got spare trolling motor cables that go from the pedal to the head. I've got my Minn Kota Ultrex takes 2 of them, and I've got a spare set that I can repair. It takes a couple hours. It's a pain in the ass to run those things and get them connected, but I have a spare set of those with me. A spare trolling motor pull cord. How many times have you broken that cord?
You don't want me to answer that question.
I've broken the cable too.
I've never.
My set screw came out of the cable. No. I've broken a couple cords, and the set screw came out of my cable one time out on Mead, and that was a pain in the ass to feed that thing through.
I've had some motor guide issues over the years with.
So the pull cord, the old pull cords were motor guides.
Yeah. Well, even all the way back to the Maxim, though, I installed steel cables. I didn't. All my Maxims, I'd take the cloth rope out of there and put a steel cable in there. So yeah, I don't. But I know a lot of people have had that problem. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I would
think so for Ultrex specifically. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would never want to replace my cables on my Ultrex. But if I was all the way down in Alabama and knew I didn't, like here, I just make a phone call and I go down to the dealer and get it dealt with. But yeah, if I was down there and I didn't know where to take it or what to do, or I'm up in, Leech Lake, Minnesota, where there's not potentially, or at least I don't know who to call, who's going to do it quick for me. I'm capable of doing it.
Yeah.
But I would only recommend that you do those things if you're very comfortable doing them things. But carrying the part, you can go to a local dealer.
You have the ability.
You have the ability to say, I will pay you for the service, whatever it costs.
Yeah.
I have the parts. And there's a lot of value in that because there's a lot of times where you're at the mercy of parts being in stock. Especially up here, a lot of dealers used to dealing with walleye boats. They're running Alteras and stuff. They're not running Ultrex. They may not have your cables. So that's a great idea. Yeah. It's a really good idea.
Yeah. They're not that expensive. And eventually, if you have that trolling motor long enough, it will probably happen.
Mm-hmm.
It happens often enough. I've changed them on mine. Yeah. If you have an Ultrex, you probably recognize this.
No, don't know what it is.
No? Mm-hmm. This is the bushing that goes on either side of the mount that pivots up and comes down, and they wear out. They're just plastic. And that thing will get sloppy if these things are not intact. Yeah. So just for keeping that motor quiet, I mean, it still works, if it is broken or gone, but just to keep things quiet and working properly, I keep that little bushing in my little ammo box.
There was all kinds of stuff on the Fortrex. I used to carry a bunch of parts for Fortrex.
Yeah. Liquid electric tape. I keep that along with electric tape.
Told you you're not supposed to use that stuff no more. Any electricians that watch this are just their head exploded.
Cloth and rubber gloves.
Yeah. Just
for, tire changes. If you're doing, can't keep this in the camera. The MaxiFlex. Yeah. Cloth and rubber gloves. Wheel bearing. Just keeping things clean.
The nitrile gloves, I mean, they're cheap. They don't take up any space. I got them things everywhere, stuffed in glove boxes, center consoles, just everywhere. You get a bad cut on your hand. It's cold. Like here, we fish a lot in the cold. You put that nitrile glove on, you can still feel stuff, but it keeps your hands from getting wet. If you need to put a glove over top of that to keep your hands warm, like it makes a difference. There was this little trick that I sort of learned from watching all these fly fishermen. I'm like, there's no way that makes a difference. And then I did it duck hunting this year, and I was like, holy cow! I bought some real heavy duty ones for when we were pulling in lines of decoys. And it's like, this is really nice because your hands get soaked. It's not that cold, but when your hands get cold or wet, they're going to get cold. What else you got?
Some of the other things I keep in that box, I don't have them here with me, but I keep a wire brush with me for brushing off any kind of buildup around the leads.
Now, are you running all lithium now or not?
Yes. So that may not be an issue now.
Yeah, I don't know what really causes that issue. I personally have not had a lot of problem with that with batteries in my boat.
Do you think it's the lead? Do you think it's the lead on top of those batteries that's doing that?
I think that might be part of it. Yes,
because I haven't noticed anything on top of the lithiums.
I've never had problems.
I still have it in the boat.
I've never had problems with my batteries in my boat. I mean, my truck will, but I've never had battery problems with my boat with that. But in my boat, like I'm always using the stainless stud. I'm not using the lead post. So I don't know. And lead does oxidize really bad.
Yeah.
So
waterproof shrink tube and connectors. Both the with the ringed connectors and a coupling.
The F connectors. You want butt splice connecting ones?
But yes.
Yeah, red, yellow, and blue.
Yes, all three sizes for sure. I keep a thing of paracord in there just in case. Use paracord for anything. Tie whatever down. If your trolling motor gets ripped off, tie it down with some paracord. My boat registration is in that container, that waterproof container. I've got Advil in there. I've got AA and AAA batteries. And one of the reasons why I've got AA and AAA batteries is not only the scale, but I keep a spare aerator in the boat as well, just in case your aerator pump goes out. This thing runs on, I believe, crap. You notice I've never used it. It's still in the package. I need to keep some C batteries in the boat too. I just assumed it was AA's. So C batteries are now going on my list. I would have been making a gas station run for some C batteries.
Is your boat your boat has two separate live well compartments? There's not
one. It's got a divider.
Oh, it does have a divider. That's how yours is?
Yes, so I can throw that in one side and it's going to aerate both.
That's what I liked about my when I was running Tritons is I always had the divided live well. But the Tritons had dual aerators, dual live well pumps, so you always had that security built into the boat.
Got it.
You know me, I don't need to use my live well that much, so I don't worry about it so much. I'd have to start fishing tournaments again. I just ordered two new coolers. I just ordered two coolers that perfectly fit through the opening of my live well so that I can use my live well as a cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just in case your scale does take a complete crap, I've got a culling beam in the boat too. I've still got an old school culling beam.
I didn't bring out, I guess, any of that stuff. I still, they're in there. I still have my call balls. I still have my balance beam. Obviously, I keep a scale because I want to know how big the fish are I'm catching. Especially this time of year where these fish look, I mean, you can catch one and you're like, oh my gosh, it's, 5.5 pounds. It's just, it's 2 inches shorter than you think it is, but it's just so fat. So it's just one of those things that keep yourself honest.
And then one of the more important ones, didn't know I needed to have this, but I was on a trip up in the Sierras a few years ago, and I went to go step onto the dock, and I don't know if the gunnel of the boat was wet or whatever, but my foot slipped and I broke my boat key off in the ignition. So, spare boat key. I've got two of them. I've got one in the garage, and I've got one inside of that container.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
I don't even know where my boat key is.
Now you're gonna find it, aren't you?
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
have
make
to
a note.
I'm gonna have to go double check to see if it's. I think it's in the ignition wired up underneath because mine's all touchpad.
Got
But
it.
you can bypass that. They do have a bypass for it. From what I've been told, it never works right. But
Got it. Yeah, there's no bypass in mine.
yeah,
You'd have to hot wire it,
yeah,
and I'm not doing that.
yeah.
I'm not smart enough to do that.
I know guys that have had their older Rangers where you start getting to where you can't get them control boards and everything, and then they just have it all gone through and yank out those solid state boards and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
as long as I plan on keeping this boat, I'll probably have to do it to this one eventually. Yeah, I mean, it's just you got to put a value on the things you're doing, right? So like most of your travels are tournament related when you go a long distance. So you got to, I would have never thought about the aerator thing, but my travels aren't long distance for a tournament.
Yeah.
If I fish a tournament, it's pretty local, and I'm doing it for fun. If the worst comes the worst, and I'm just going to throw my fish back and take it for the day and be like, yeah, well, that is what it is.
Yeah. You don't have $3,000 into a trip.
No, right, exactly. So, and there's some there are, if you look around, there are some better aerator options than what you just showed out there available nowadays.
Yeah, this was
some
just a cheap.
Yeah, there's some.
I didn't want to go spend a couple $100 on an aerator. This is.
No, this stuff's. I will say for the aerator, I'll send you some stuff. I'll show you some stuff after we get off here. But keeping live bait alive is big here, right? All the walleye guys.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff guys have found on Amazon that I'm telling you, it is unbelievably good. Guys are running bait tanks with them. Bait tanks. And it's the size of it floats on the surface, and it's smaller than a disc golf disc. That I would look at that. It would actually take up less space, and it's USB rechargeable. So if you have a USB port, which I'm pretty sure you told me you put one in your boat, you can charge it up pretty good with that. So, so there are some better options for that out there.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know. I always keep in the truck a cooler. Always have a cooler, packable cooler. I've really got to learn that I fish a lot better if I have good food in the boat when I'm on a long trip and I'm fishing for 12 hours. Last I checked, none of us are getting younger. Every day we just get older. Putting the right food in you helps a lot.
Yeah.
I got one guy I fish with a lot. He's awesome. He makes up tuna salad or chicken salad and packs a cooler with ice in it. We just make sure that cooler gets ice on it. That's why I bought the coolers I did to fit in my live well. Because, but I'm telling you, all these, whether it's a protein bar, a hot stick, whatever it is. I mean, there's days that we're eating tenderloin sandwiches in the boat. They're cold, but there's days we're eating tenderloin sandwiches in a boat. There's battery powered heatable lunch boxes out there now. Those are miracles. I've already taken, when it's cold, you take a thermos, stuff some hot breakfast burritos in that thermos, fill it up with boiling hot water first, dump it out, just tinfoil wrap the burritos. I don't care what type of burritos. They'll stay hot in there for 6-7 hours. If you're out in the fall or the spring and it's cold, you have no clue how much more energy you got when you open up a hot burrito, like a breakfast burrito, and eat that for your meal out on the water. Like you got a whole new level of let's get it done. So those are things that I don't keep in the boat, but it generally are with me in the boat. I've just gotten where I'll bring a loaf of bread, or half a loaf of bread and put the sandwich together so it's not this soggy, mushed together thing, you know?
Yeah, I do that a lot. I'll bring tuna salad or something like that and make
Yeah.
the sandwich on the boat.
Yeah.
I'm not a big eater on the water. I'll have a
Yeah.
lot of RX bars. I'll have a lot of almonds, like the Blue Diamond salt and vinegar almonds are my favorite. I always have those. A lot of times I'll have dates. I'll bring dates with me for, you know, that little bit of sugar. Tons and tons of water. Like the tournaments that I'm fishing for the most part when I'm going on trips, it's in the desert and it's in the summer and it's hotter than hell. So a lot of times what I'll do, most of the time I'm staying in a hotel, small hotel or an Airbnb, and I will freeze the water bottles the night before. You don't have to buy ice that way. Throw the water bottles in the cooler. Food goes on top of those. Everything stays cool. You need a bottle of water. Pull it out an hour beforehand, and it starts to thaw. And a lot of times, what I do is I'll mix Rejuvenade into a bottle of water. I'll use those older, you know, the bottles of water that I used the day prior. Fill them up with Rejuvenade, freeze them, and then throw those in the well with the cap off, and let those slow disperse. Rain gear, that's something that I never have in the boat in San Diego, ever. I got crap in a Tactical Bassin video for not having rain gear. I was fishing in just long pants and a sweatshirt, and it was just drizzling all day long, and I was miserable. And I'm like, why didn't I freaking put the rain gear in the boat? We weren't expecting rain, but it never rains here, ever. It's 70 degrees and sunny every damn day of the year for the most part.
I'll send you.
But when I'm on a long trip, when I'm on a long trip, it is in the boat.
Yeah.
You know, because you run into 4 or 5 footers, and it gets real spray real quick, and you just don't want to be soaked unless it's 100 degrees. Then it's comfortable.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the thing. I mean, most of the stuff we wear nowadays is all pretty, quick dry, right? But
yeah.
Here you're not fishing in the temperatures we do here. Foul weather gear is called foul weather gear for a reason. It isn't always just about rain.
For sure.
We could do a whole video, or short video on proper care of your rain gear. Because if you don't take care of it right, it will not last you. If you know how to take care of it, buying really good rain gear is worth every penny because it will last.
100%.
But yeah, that's something I guess I don't even think about. Like, I just standard operation. I have all the time. I have a puffy jacket. I have a full set of rain gear. I have an extra hooded sweatshirt. I have an extra pair of fishing pants, like the lightweight fishing pants. A fleece and a wind jacket in the boat all the time. Goes in this, and some of that stuff is just because I've been the guy that fell out of the boat in the fall and had to strip down to nothing and put my rain gear, because at least that would dry out quick. But you're basically naked under the rain gear, and I'm like, I ain't ever doing that again. So I carry enough stuff to at least, And if you do get wet,
I fell in sub 50 degree water one time, and dude, you get shivering quick.
Dude, I fell in and the water temperature was 38.
Oof.
Bad. It's bad. And I fished the rest of that day.
Scary.
Yeah. What I did is I went to shore and then just like walked back and forth up and down the bank and got my body temperature up that way and went back to fishing.
Yeah.
The air temperature was not that cold, thank God. And my rain gear, like, it came out and just shedded all the water, but everything I was wearing under my rain gear was soaked. But we're sort of more used to the temperatures than you are in that realm.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I would have quit.
Yeah. Just knowing what you go through and being prepared in case something bad happens, I think is important. Especially nowadays with all this puffy stuff. All the whether it's Reel Down or now I think it's called Permaloft. A lot of companies using, like I have an AFCO puffy in there, but then I also have a First Light puffy in there that I really like a lot. The First Light puffy's really warm. It's really heavy duty. It's meant for highland mountain glassing. Throw it on, and then when you get moving, you take it off and put it in your pack, Yeah, I mean, it just having that stuff. Yeah, you can take it out in the summer, and then when it's colder, put it back in. But I don't know. I mean, I think most of the boats now
put it back in.
Well, yeah, and most of the boats now all sort of laid out the same. I've got a big rod locker, I got a big center box that's my tackles in, and then I got my day box, which on my I have a 520L, so that day box is huge, holds a lot of tackle. So that whole compartment in front of it sort of stores all my rain gear, my physical life vests. Honestly, I could put a lot of the tools and stuff I have in there. But right now, I just have my rain gear and all that stuff up there. My net, I run one of them. I forget what the name is. That foldable Pro Net. Tritons used to come with them, and they tuck behind the seat. I just have it folded up and up in there. But then all this other stuff, all my tools, I carry 3 inflatable life vests. I also have. It is a Coast Guard approved. I don't know if they still do it, but it is a Coast Guard approved throwable inflatable. It is the size of a Folgers coffee can, big one.
Interesting.
So I got this big square rectangle deal, and
you could probably throw it a long way, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm sure you can. But it's got the pull cord and it goes off if it gets water in it, so that's really nice. Saves me some space. But yeah, that's the big compartment behind my driver's seat. That's where all my tools and all that stuff is. But if push comes to shove, I can put all that stuff that I pulled out here and showed you. I can fit that in my bilge compartment on the shelf around my batteries. Another thing, I guess a lot of people don't probably think to bring, and I didn't bring them out, but I have 4 fenders, boat fenders. And then I have 2 50-foot ropes in the boat.
That's one thing I need is a longer rope. I've got a rope that's probably 15 feet long to tie off to a dock, but I don't have a tow rope. I've used my rope before to tow somebody in, but it's not ideal.
Yeah. No, that's what's nice about the 2 50-footers, because you got plenty of rope on each end. So, like, what I like to do is when I got to tie off, here the fenders come out. Dunk, dunk. I don't know what your guys' docks look like, but ours are horrible. Like, every boat landing I've put in the last 4 or 5 trips, the top of the dock is below my rub rail. It's below that.
Yeah. No, ours are not that bad.
I'd rather that thing be a foot above the deck of my boat, and I'm just sitting there going, like, how does a 20-foot walleye boat that sits 3 feet higher than me dock on this dock? Like, what are they thinking? We see that a lot here, where the docks aren't set height. They're set for, like, if you're putting a canoe in, not anything else.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of them. And it's funny because you go from the bank and there's this big dip down with that first section, and it's like, just raise the dang thing up a foot. So I use the fenders a lot. And then what I like to do is I actually like to go to the bow hook if I can reach it. Otherwise, my front cleat around a post forward, go forward around a post, and all the way back to the farthest back post, and then hopefully back towards a cleat. Because then you can't, your boat's never going to do this against the dock. And then I send the talent down in the water. But yeah, and the fenders, like, you just throw them. At least you probably don't have as much room as the more modern boats do in the transom because your boat's narrower. But I mean, there's so much. I
don't have fenders.
Yeah,
I don't even own them. Our docks are actually in really good shape.
Yeah,
so I don't have to have them.
Yeah, I rarely use them. I mean, about the only time I use them is like smaller lakes around here, or small more privately owned boat landings on the Winnebago system. If I go into any of the county boat landings and stuff like that around here on the Winnebago system or the Bay Green Bay, I don't need defenders. But if I go up north, like all the national forests or county boat landings up there, then we're dealing with these aluminum docks they're hitting your boat where you don't want it to hit. The protection that's on the dock to protect your boat doesn't even touch your boat if you go up against the docks.
Yeah.
I need to use defenders. I don't have them, but the ones that I will say I know a couple of guys that have them is they have like Kevlar ones or mesh ones that have flotation in them, and it's like 4 inches on the top and then like 16 inches below it. I've seen where those definitely are nicer most of the time than what I have. I just have the old school round ones that have the little like hook on the top.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, fiberglass scratch is expensive. Fenders are cheap compared to a fiberglass scratch.
Yeah, that's for sure. You can do it yourself, but never turns out the same as a professional. I've done a little bit of my own, and it actually didn't turn out too bad.
I mean, it's not. I mean, if it's solid gel coat, it's not a big deal. If it's just white or black or whatever, you can usually get.
No, if you got flake, you better take it to somebody.
Yeah, I ain't like you. I like glittery. I got everything's glitter. It's just, God, I don't look good. I don't catch fish. My boat's got to look good.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
call you Mr. Glitters.
Yeah, gotta have glitter. I'm real fancy with my glitter. It's all silver, dark silver, and black. That's it. Hey, my first bass boat was a white, black, and yellow Champion. So I've had to be conservative now.
Beautiful.
It was. I
all
love
Champions
that boat.
are beautiful.
I did. That 210 Elite was awesome. You should have bought it, but you didn't.
I should have.
You were too chicken to drive out here and buy it.
I had mine when you had yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I told you to sell it.
I love my boat.
210 Elite. Had that thing customized.
No, I love my boat.
Yeah, you like that 210
I've had
Elite
like
better.
7 or 8 guys say, when you sell that boat's mine. And I think since then they've all bought new boats. So it's not happening. But I will not have a problem selling my boat.
No.
My boat is a beautiful boat.
Yeah. Well, what else do you want to cover today?
Well, I think that's probably it. We can keep this a short one since our last one went like 3 hours and 20 minutes. I think it covers it. I mean, it's.
Did I tell you that I talked? Did I tell you I talked to Rob like a week and a half ago on the phone?
No.
I'll tell you after the podcast how that went. It was longer than our podcast.
I texted a little bit with him today.
Yeah, it was longer than the podcast by a lot.
Shocking. A conversation with you lasted longer than 3 hours. Shocking.
I did a lot of listening. I can tell you that. I did a lot of listening.
That actually is a little bit surprising.
Oh.
That he did more talking than you did.
Well, I think by the end of it, he definitely did more talking than I did. And I couldn't believe it because, like, even me, like, I've got my AirPods, so I'm cleaning my boat, spooling line, getting the boat ready. Like, I'm just having a good old time doing my normal thing. Like, my buddy's there hanging out with me, bullshitting, right? Yeah. He don't have none of that stuff. He had me on speaker the whole time or holding the phone to his ear. And I'm like, dude, you got to get some earbuds or something. Two of the people that I know that also know him, when they found out that me and him had a conversation, they both said, well, I guarantee you that went over ... time. And yeah, they were right. And it was, I'm like embarrassed about how long of a conversation it was. That's
why you haven't been calling me. You're tired of being on the phone.
No, you don't answer when I call. That's why I quit calling you. You were in Florida or some shit.
Yeah, I was in Orlando work trip. But no, I talked to him. I've gotten quite a few really good reviews on that episode. I was like, we got on the phone after that episode and we were like, dude, that one's a banger. Like,
Yeah,
there's so much good information out of that swim bait episode.
As you know, there's episodes that we've done that I've liked. There's ones that I'm like, that could have been better, or especially that one with Clausen, me being sick during that one. I was like, oh, that could have been so much better. It was still good, but I just felt like I could have contributed more. But that one is probably the only one that I would honestly say, like, I will probably go back and listen to that one because there's stuff in there that inspired thought.
I listened to the whole thing today.
And connected dots that, I guess, how do I want to say it? Things I already knew, but it connected the dots of the things I knew. So if this is the first podcast of ours that you're watching, go back and watch the one about swim baiting. And it doesn't matter if you're not a swim baiter. And that's the biggest thing I'll say about it is,
no,
like, you should run that thing through an AI generator and just, say, every time they say swim bait, say football jig, and it almost all applies. That's
pretty much.
I mean, it's a
if
cheat
you haven't
sheet
listened
for
to
how
it, it's with Colby Pearson and Rob Jordan. Colby's up in Oregon, Rob's in Georgia, and it was a swim bait episode. It was meant to be a swim bait episode, and it was, but it applies to literally every facet of bass fishing. I mean, it's funny how it all related back. Like, we look at it me, Colby, and Rob look at it as swim baiting. But the more we talked about it, we're like, well, that applies here and that applies there. It applies to everything.
It applies whether you're throwing a crankbait, whether you're flipping a jig. Like, you got to have some of that footwork down of doing those things. But if you want to understand how to target bigger than average bass, if you want to be the guy that consistently wins the big bass of the tournament, and that is something that is possible, trust me. The big bass is not always luck. It's not.
No.
If you know how to target them. And that's what I think is covered in that podcast, way more than anything else. To me, it's, and Rob and I actually probably talked about that, just that alone for a very long time when we got on the phone just one-on-one. How so much of that stuff, as a guy that I power fish, I frog, I flip, I throw a jerk bait, but it's like a jerk bait. You guys were talking in that podcast. I pull up on this spot and you wait for that casting angle. You wait for that. I can cast far enough past it. Or if you're throwing a bait that's meant to be on their head, you wait till you can throw it on their head. I don't care if that's a 16-ounce swim bait or a 110 junior. That stuff does matter when you're fishing pressured fish, big fish, trophy fish. What I told Rob is I spent a lot of time with, like, Hall of Famer muskie fishermen, literally inducted into the Hall of Fame. So much of what you guys talked about is the same stuff they talk about with catching giant muskies. It definitely is. I mean, it just equates across the board. It's a good listen. And those two both, they're both very well spoken.
They are very.
Yeah, Rob wants to be on again.
Swim bait. What's that?
Rob wants to be on again. Like, just
Colby will come back on too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to have them both back on, and we'll attack that at a different angle. Maybe it won't be a swim bait episode. Maybe it'll be something else. I don't know. We only touched on hooks a little bit. We could talk about gear. I don't know. We'll figure something out, but I'd like to have them both on again for sure. But I was going to say, there's a lot of swim bait podcast episodes out there, and I've listened to most of them, but this one, truly and honestly, dude, it goes into deep detail of how to approach the biggest fish in your fishery, whether it's largemouth, smallmouth, or spotted bass. And there's not a lot of episodes out there that give the amount of information that were in that one. So I was
No.
proud of that one for sure.
I was really happy how in depth that you guys, when you both, all three of you got talking about the swim bait thing, it really was starting to like connect some dots. And it was, you know, there's a lot of other episodes and from other people, right, that are really good about how do you fish a glide bait, how do you fish, you know, a big soft swim bait. That's not really what you guys talked about at all. You never once talked about how I fish this bait. You talked the whole time about how you approach fishing for the fish.
100%. It's the most important thing.
And you need to know that before you throw. I don't care if it's a drop shot, a hair jig, a jerk bait, a flipping jig. I mean, yeah.
Because most guys already know how to fish a glide bait. Most guys already know how to fish a Huddleston. They've watched a million different videos about that. Yeah. But they're still struggling to present the bait the right way the first time to a fish who has already seen everything.
The number one comment that was made in that podcast episode to me was, you don't just go fan casting.
Yep.
That's a lesson I learned about flipping long time ago from a guy that's a very, very, very good fisherman that I learned a lot from, still learn a lot from. And every cast needs to have intent.
100%.
And sometimes that means you're not making a cast because you can't have intent with that cast. I mean, there's times where you have to just dump the trolling motor in and go, right? There's times you have to do that.
Of course.
If you're fishing what you know, if you're fishing the stuff that you've fished before, if you're like the wind's blowing this way,
you already have an idea where a fish might be.
Yeah. Whether the wind's driving it, a current's driving it, the way the break sits up, you know. I found a spot this last weekend where it was like a reverse shelf. It was like as you went uphill, it then went like this down and then went back uphill. And that steep drop was on that bottom side. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen, but it's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with big shale, slate, rock, weird stuff, you know? And didn't run perpendicular or parallel with what you're trying to fish. So you actually had to position your boat in a unique way, a way that you would never normally do to fish that point, to fish that. And we casted at it the wrong way a handful of times. It didn't get bit. When we finally worked around it and you're sort of like, well, this isn't the right way to fish this point, but it was the right way to fish that detail. All of a sudden we're getting bit. You know, so, you know, those things matter a lot. And, yeah, that stuff's discussed. Every situation's unique, but discussing how that stuff matters is what was important in that podcast.
For sure.
And I
if
think
you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to it because it's well worth your time. It's long. It's over 3 hours, but there's a reason it's over 3 hours because there's a lot of stuff.
And I mean, you've talked about it. Like, I want to do something like that with flipping. And I don't know what our audience thinks. I mean, you've talked about this a little bit, and I sort of squashed a couple ideas you had. But my idea is like I want the best guide who's a flipper. I don't necessarily want the Elite Series Pro that's a flipper.
Yeah.
Whether we could get them or not, I don't know. I mean, I know some good ones, but I just sometimes it feels like certain people think about it and certain people don't think about it. And a lot of times those Elite Series Pros, it's just so ingrained in them. It's just so instinctual
They
that they
just
don't
do it.
really think about it. So it's hard
Yeah.
for them to convey it because they don't consciously think about it. They're that good. It's just like autopilot.
It's automatic. Exactly.
They know the same things. They just do it without thought.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll get good. I'd love to do frogging, flipping. Those things are passionate to me. Crankbaiting. I mean,
Yeah.
man, if you could get a guy like, there's a lot of guys around the country that are really, really good crankbait fishermen that are guides and local tournament anglers and whatever, So I think we're going to keep pushing along doing that type of stuff.
If you guys have any ideas, if you want to hear about a certain technique, throw it in the comments. Let us know. We're open to everything.
We want to do some little tip videos, right? We're going to try to do some of that stuff. Bait mod type stuff, bait type stuff. Do a little bit of that here coming up, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. All right, we're almost an hour and a half. Now I don't feel so bad that it's, short.
All right. I'm going to hit the button. This was hopefully pretty informative. Hopefully you throw some things in the boat that you didn't have before. Keep you safe on the road. Quick repairs. You won't find yourself in a pickle.
Or in the ditch.
We'll see you guys next time. Or in the what?
Or in the ditch.
Or in the ditch. I don't think anything we said is going to keep them out of the ditch.
Well, you're going to be in the ditch sitting there stranded if you don't have that tool to get the spare tire off.
Yeah, I guess so.
See?
You're off the side of the road. You won't be in the ditch.
Have you blown a tire? Have you blown a tire?
I've blown a tire.
It's pretty easy to go in the ditch when you blow a tire.
I haven't blown a tire on the truck. I've blown a tire on the trailer.
Yeah.
That won't put you in the ditch.
No, probably
It's not my scenario.
No.
All right. I'm hitting the button.
All right, later, Mike.
I'm tired. Peace.
Peace.